bacon and eggs. Bacon and eggs, a hearty breakfast. The result, the best form of advertising, word of mouth. The doctors were reading the study that he sent, plus this new idea of putting bacon with eggs and serving it in the morning. Their patients had a nice, hearty bacon and egg breakfast in the morning. Doctor recommended that we do that, just to replenish their bodies. And Beechnut's profits skyrocketed. And the new tradition of bacon and eggs was born. And from that, we now have the McGriddle, the Denny's Grand Slam. It's an industry of breakfast. IHOP, all of it came from Beechnut and Bernays. I think it's funny because now the cycle is complete, because it's turning on itself. Bernays went to doctors and said, hey, can you find something to help me sell bacon? They did. And so they sold bacon, created this breakfast, and now doctors are telling us our kids are eating just too much fatty bacon. We can't do that. You should have something better for your heart. Heart healthy. Don't eat this. Eat this. While I'm here at bacon, pancakes are also here, and I have to tell you, it's taking everything in me not to eat the bacon and the hell with it. Let me show you something else. Pancakes. Have you ever seen this photo op with a politician? You know, they go and they flip the pancakes. This actually, in a way, started with Bernays. Bernays, at one time, worked for one of my favorite presidents, Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge had this reputation of being a cold, calculated, stodgy guy. Lacked personality, never really said a word, didn't joke, never cracked a smile. He needed to change that. Bernays. So, he set up breakfast. Remember, it was toast and coffee, but he set up breakfast. And here he is. I think that's Al Jolson, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But he had breakfast with all these celebrities and had the cameras ready. And he instructed Coolidge to do just this one thing. Shake hands and smile. Well, he had the cameras there and the newspapers, and they all reported, actors eat cakes with the Coolidges. There it is. Actors crack jokes, sing songs with the Coolidges. Wow. Suddenly the Coolidges are cool. You know, because the stars are hanging out with them. They're having a blast. He even lent his services to politicians in other ways. If you've ever seen a photo op with a politician, like for instance, you ever seen when they get dressed up ridiculously in clothes they've never worn before because they want to court hunters? They do this. Yeah, no, he dresses like that all the time on Saturdays. And then somebody snaps a photo of him, you know, in the camo, carrying a gun. Man, Trey's do it all the time. Yeah. If they want to look strong and in charge, they hang out with the soldiers and shake a bunch of hands. Or if they want to look like a regular schmo, I mean, they just roll up their sleeves. They're just like you. They get out there. No. It's a photo op. Bernays. So let me go back to the big lie. The reason why I say the 20th century is the big lie is because there are things you never, ever questioned. You've just been eating bacon and eggs because you like them. You didn't know someone came up with this to sell bacon. I always thought, I mean, bacon and eggs, didn't you think our great-great-grandparents were eating bacon and eggs? But it always comes back to one guy. And it's everywhere. Cigarettes. By the way, these are not mine. Cigarettes. It seems to me that people have been smoking forever. You know? And the ads that we used to see when we were growing up on Kids, I don't think we can even show them on TV anymore. But they used to, you remember Virginia Slims? And there was some sexy woman smoking a cigarette. Well, that seemed pretty racy in the 60s. But people didn't always smoke cigarettes. They didn't, especially not women. It started in the 1920s. And it was considered taboo in the 1920s for women to smoke, especially in public. And that's when the American Tobacco Company called Bernays. And they said, we need more people to smoke cigarettes. But Bernays didn't say the last time, hey, eat bacon, it's yummy. No. He had to find the need. So it wasn't, hey, eat bacon and then chase it down with a cigarette. No, instead he found an animal spirit, a tragedy, a violation of something of that animal spirit, a raw desire of what would make people need to smoke. He found his opportunity in politics. You have to go back to 1908, New York City. I can't believe they did this. They unanimously passed an ordinance that prohibited smoking, but only for women in public. Once again, Bernays set out to change the perception on a grand scale. All he wanted to do was sell people cigarettes. That's it. And once again, he commissioned a study by a psychologist. He set out to uncover, what do cigarettes actually mean to women? The conclusion? That it was actually normal for women to smoke because of the oral fixation. I want you to remember that, oral fixation, because that is really important, but we're going to come back to it. Oral fixation. Important. Then the psychiatrist said, women are suppressing their feminine desires. He argued that more women were working these days. More women weren't having kids, and so their liberation was suppressing their natural inner most feminine traits. So Bernays had a solution for this problem. Set women free. With this. How did he get there? Bernays paid women to smoke in a parade, believe it or not, of all things. Easter parade here in New York City. The place where women were not allowed to smoke at all. New York. As they walked down the street, and this is the footage of it, as they walked down the street, Bernays had reporters waiting, and he told all the women, when I give you the sign, you reach into your garter, and you light those cigarettes. There they are. Lift your skirt, take the cigarette out, and don't just smoke. No, don't just smoke. Hold them up. Because these weren't cigarettes anymore. In the hands of women who were being oppressed and wanted to be free, these were now torches of freedom. In New York, it was Lady Liberty. And this was front page news. Women smoking publicly in New York. These torches of freedom. Under the headline, it read, a group of girls puff at cigarettes as a gesture of freedom. This is huge. Bernays, he went and he looked at all of the women. He selected the women for his stunt. He said they needed to be good looking, but not too modelly. And he carefully oversaw how all of the pictures would be taken. The result? In 1923, women made 5% of the cigarette market share, but 1929 it was up to 12%. 1935, 18%. By 1965, women, 33%, were smoking. Now here's another one real quick. Have you ever walked into a house, and this is even my house, you ever walk into a house and there's a piano sitting there, and you say, hey, who plays the piano? And then, like I do, I go, nobody. Why do you have the piano? I haven't, no. Kids are going to play. The kids are like 40. They've moved out. Kids are going to play someday. No, they're not. No, they're not. How did that start? Bernays. Piano companies needed to sell pianos. And so he went to psychiatrists and psychologists, and he found that people could be convinced that if they put a piano in their living room, it was not only a fashion statement, but it also gave the family this air of culture. Their kids would be smarter. They were smarter. So now we seemingly buy pianos, and many of us don't play pianos. But we want to. Oh, really? Or were we taught to? Bernays, it is important to understand, was not into any particular ideology. He was just more interested as an experiment, how he could change the public and their thinking, no matter what the issue. He did a lot of bad things, but he also did a lot of good things. But you need to know him for this underlying thought that people can be controlled and manipulated. He believed that that is where the real power really was. He says in his book, and I find this amazing, this is on page 1, Organizing Chaos. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed Our minds are molded, our tastes are formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we've never heard of. This is the logical result of the way in which our democratic society is organized. The unseen hand. Wow. I guess we could say that's advertising, but it's really not. Listen to Edward Bernays late in his life on this himself.
When I came back to the United States, I decided that if you could use propaganda for war, you could certainly use it for peace. And propaganda got to be a bad word because of the Germans using it. So what I did was to try to find some other words. So we found the word Council on Public Relations.
Public relations, PR. Okay. So now we have bacon and eggs. Great. Women smoking cigarettes. But what difference, Glenn Beck, does it make in today's world? What the hell are you even talking about? I'll show you next.